The room went silent the moment she spoke. Not because the words were loud, they weren't tea, but because something in her voice cut through the tension like a blade. The Admiral's hand froze mid-gesture, his breath catching as if memory itself had reached out and grabbed him. She stood there in disguise, uniform altered, face shadowed. But her voice had already betrayed her. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening." She went by the name Specialist Rowan that day. The disguise was simple but effective. Hair cropped short, posture deliberately neutral, insignia positioned to deflect attention. She had learned how to disappear years ago, back when being seen cost more than it gave. This mission required anonymity. It's not because she was weak, but because she was too valuable to be known. The briefing room hummed with low conversation and the faint vibration of engines deep within the ship. Officers crowded around holographic maps, fingers tracing danger zones with casual authority. Rowan stood near the back, eyes lowered, listening more than she spoke. That had always been her strength. The operation was delicate, a hostile port city, compromised extraction route. Civilians trapped between factions that didn't care who got crushed in the middle. Intelligence was thin, and time was thinner. The Admiral commanded the room with practiced confidence, but even he couldn't hide the strain lining his face. Rowan felt it too, the moral weight of what was being asked. A covert insertion under false identities. Orders that danced dangerously close to betrayal of trust. She questioned it silently, as she always did. Following orders had never been the hard part. Living with them afterward was? When the Admiral asked for clarification on a risk corridor, she spoke without thinking. One sentence. Calm, precise. Correcting a flawed assumption that could have cost lives. That was when he looked at her. At first his expression was irritation, then confusion, then something deeper, recognition clawing its way to the surface. He had heard that voice before, years ago, another war, another fire. She thought she'd never see him again. She was wrong. The room shifted. Officers glanced between them, sensing the change without understanding it. The Admiral stepped closer, eyes narrowing, studying the angles of her face, the cadence of her breath. "Say that again," he said quietly. Rowan's pulse spiked. The disguise wasn't meant to fail like this. But retreat now would raise more questions than answers. She repeated the assessment, every word measured. The Admiral exhaled slowly. "It can't be," he murmured. "You were listed as dead," she finished softly. Gasps rippled through the room. Whispers followed, sharp and startled. Someone dropped a tablet. Rowan straightened, the disguise suddenly feeling fragile, like paper in rain. Years ago, she had been part of an extraction team that went wrong. Fire, smoke, screams over the radio. She had dragged 3 men out before the building collapsed. 4th never made it. Neither did she, officially. Her survival had been buried for operational reasons and personal ones. The Admiral remembered that voice calling coordinates through chaos, steady when everyone else panicked. He remembered the silence afterward, the report he had signed with shaking hands. Why hide? He asked, not as a commander, but as a man haunted by unfinished ghosts. Rowan hesitated. This was the moral line she always walked. Truth could save trust or destroy the mission. She chose carefully. "Because the mission doesn't need my past," she said. "It needs results." Outside, the sea slapped against the hull, rhythmic and unforgiving. Inside, the room held its breath. Admiral nodded once. Authority returned to his posture, but respect softened it. "Then you'll lead the insertion," he said. "Ink, disguised or not." The operation unfolded under a moonless sky. Rowan moved through narrow streets with her team, shadows among shadows. Radios whispered. Boots struck pavement in unison. Civilians watched from behind cracked doors, hope and fear flickering in their eyes. At the extraction point, everything went wrong. Enemy patrols converged faster than expected. The air filled with dust and shouted warnings. A child screamed. Rowan's hands trembled for half a second, not from fear, but from the weight of choice. Engage and risk exposure, or hold position and risk lives. She chose. Her voice cut through the chaos, issuing commands that pulled the team together like a tide. They moved as one, covering angles, shielding civilians, tools striking in practiced harmony. Fire flashed. Smoke burned the throat. Time fractured into moments of decision. Above it all, her voice anchored them. From the command deck, the Admiral listened, knuckles white against the railing. He recognized the cadence, the calm, the courage that didn't announce itself. The extraction succeeded by minutes. When Rowan returned, grime streaked her face, disguise half gone. The room erupted not with cheers but with something rarer, stillness, then applause, sudden and sincere, echoing off steel walls. The Admiral approached her slowly. "I should have said this years ago," he said. "You saved them. All of them." Rowan swallowed. She had lived without that acknowledgement for so long, she wasn't sure what to do with it now. "Some of us survive by staying hidden," she replied. "That doesn't mean we disappear." Later, alone on the deck, she let the sea air wash over her. The disguise lay folded beside her. She didn't know if she'd wear it again. But she knew this. Being seen no longer felt like a threat. Because truth doesn't always arrive on time, but when it does, it demands courage to face it. And the voice once buried in silence became the sound that brought everyone home. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts below. Your voice matters here. And if you believe the quietest courage often carries the greatest weight, subscribe to Whispered Words. Because some stories don't need faces to be unforgettable.